I'm so stoked to have you here, Jamie. Welcome to When the Cleats Come Off.
I'm pumped to be here. I've been listening for a while, so I'm excited to join you.
Okay, so I just have to get straight into this. So when I was drafted in 2015, I had no idea you were behind the scenes that actually drafted me in the middle of my game. I don't even know if you knew I was playing that day. Like it was a random Wednesday, I think. And you were behind the scenes with Kevin, who we just had on the podcast, putting draftees together. And I don't think I deserve to be 15th, but thank you. Like in that draft. But when I found out that you were behind the scenes, I was like, are you kidding me? Where have I been? Under a rock?
I guarantee you, I think a lot of my time with the Dallas Charge was completely behind the scenes. So it wasn't because it was at a very weird transition of my life too, where I was in academia. I was a professor at University of Tampa, and I had been approached by Joel Barsh, who was the owner of the Charge. He's like, I'm not going to do this unless you're a part of it, and Kevin Shelton's a part of it. And I didn't even know Kevin Shelton at that, not well at that
Hmm.
point. But I was also working for USSSA and had just accepted I was going to leave academia and take this full-time position at USSSA. So I literally remember sitting in my apartment in Tampa, like posting on Twitter for like both teams, I think. But yeah, Dallas Charge, I came up with the name of Dallas Charge. That was my whole branding mind. But the name, the slogan, the colors, the whole star to go with the Dallas theme. But yeah, lead the charge. I thought it was a big like movement there. That
Yeah,
was
I think I still hear like the da 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 charge like in my head all the time because that was us. But no, I think it's so cool to know like the behind the scenes of the brand because, as someone who's just out of college, didn't really understand the depth of professional softball even yet. It was so fun to kind of just like be a part of the organization, but now it's like how many years later we're looking back at it and like, Kevin talked about it well about just like he built this in like a matter of months. And I can't even imagine what your, behind the scenes work was about either.
I
Like
remember we
chaos.
flew because Kevin's in Dallas, Joel was in Houston. So I flew to Dallas in and out the same day in December. And that's when we said, all right, we're doing this. And it was just three of us. And then what was the draft? Like May or April?
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
started in June.
Yeah, I
It's
think it was
cool.
May.
I look back at the players and the people that were involved with the charge, and these women have gone on and done amazing things. So I'm very proud of our draft class, not just for the on the field, but also like I spent time with Molly Fickner and Renata Davis, and
Yeah.
they are part of the draft class. I got to meet Lauren Hager, part of the initial Dallas Charge draft class. So super proud of the team that we drafted.
I think what's wild is like most of us are still in the sport somehow, in some capacity. Whether it's coaching or doing private work or, you know, obviously we're going to get into what you're doing because it's freaking awesome. But yeah, I don't know what it is about, the upbringing of professional softball. And again, we were not the first and definitely not the last, but it did feel kind of just like, it did feel like we were part of something kind of new and fun. And maybe it was that momentum that kept us in the sport. Who knows? I
Hopefully,
could probably lean a little bit of that on it.
hopefully too, because I went through every experience possible, mostly bad, in my 4 year professional career, and I chalk that up as a testament to faith in the sport, and also of like, you know what? I think I went through this in order to help make the sport better and to help, make it better for other generations. But from bankruptcy to like we were a league owned team and we were like shopped around. But it was always my goal then, if I had my hands in working with a pro team, was to help the experience of the players. So hopefully you guys had a good experience and that's why you're still passionate about the sport too.
Oh, for sure. And like, yes, there were some things that, the locker room situation was something that Lauren Hager was like, we're fixing this. But like, it's a startup team. Like, there's going to be things that are rocky at the beginning. But I will say, and I told Kevin the same thing, I felt like we were treated so well. And based on the other players who had been in it for a while, they're like, we're kind of jealous of your setup over there. And I was like, I was just lucky to be part of it. So, no, you guys took great care of us. And, from travel to lodging to Kevin even set me up with a car once because I live on the other side of the country. And I was like, dude, like, I just love Kevin. And I loved my experience. The playing part I could have done better, but that's just what it is. But all in all, no, it was incredible. So yeah, I have to thank you now publicly because crazy enough, I didn't know this until a couple months ago that you were literally in the draft room, which I think is awesome.
That is cool. Well, and thanks for continuing to give back to the sport.
Oh, of course. Of course. I'm not going anywhere. I might leave for a couple months, to have a kid, but like I'll be back. But no, I'm just so excited to have you here. And what I love to do with guests that have played, you've played professionally, you've played highest level in college, like played the World Series, like all these great things have happened to you in your career. And I'd be remiss if we didn't hear a bit of your softball journey. So do you want to share a little bit of that with us?
I'll try to go fast. But my softball journey actually started in baseball. I grew up in a small town, Wharton, Texas, outside of Houston. Didn't have a ton of opportunities because it was so small. So I played every sport imaginable, most of the time with the boys. So I played baseball, and I was a club soccer player. Like I did the whole club soccer deal throughout high school too and thought I was going to college in soccer. But when I got to high school, I was like, all right, let me try softball. It's weird to play baseball with the boys at that point. So I got into it, loved it. Didn't know any better that like there were any differences. So I just assumed like, yeah, it's just like baseball. And then went to Texas A&M camp, won the running competition, and started getting recruited. So I got
Wow.
recruited by two schools. Um, I did play travel at the same time that I got recruited to play at A&M. I actually got recruited by a camp teammate named Megan Gibson, who her dad was coaching Impact Gold when Gold was just a division, by the way, not the name of the
Mm,
organization.
wow.
So I did end up playing for Impact Gold, and then University of Texas was recruiting me more. And as soon as A&M came in, that's where I wanted to go. Both my parents are Aggies, so that but yeah, then I played 4 years at Texas A&M. Incredible experience. Played for Joe Evans, who's a Hall of Famer. Played with two Hall of Famers in my class, and Amanda Scarborough and Megan Gibson. We won Big 12 championships in my senior year, which I think is so cool, the name of your podcast. But I left my cleats on home plate at the Women's College
Mm.
World Series in the national championship game. We lost, but what an incredible run and experience that we got to do. And then that it was actually my performance in the World Series that enabled me to, I didn't get drafted, but I got picked up the next year because of that performance to spend 4 years and then PF. So that is my softball journey as a player.
Wow, you summed it up great too. But let's just talk about your World Series performance because I think and this is probably why you were picked up. It's like the best rise under the most pressure. So, do you remember much about, any of the games? Some people love to reminisce on this stuff. I don't know how, but my husband always remembers like the things when he was like 7 years old that like, this shot or this whatever. But like, what about that performance do you think made you stand out?
I remember, I think I remember every single pitch.
Yeah,
I will
I
never
figured you
forget
did.
an interesting moment in my career is, at the beginning of the World Series, they take certain players. Now I think they take the whole team. But back then they would take like one or two players and they would go do all the media interviews. And then the rest of the team would like kind of do some stuff. And there were four seniors. Amanda was hurt that year. Which was devastating. But they took the three seniors, and I just sat on the bus, and I was like, dang it. Like that kind of stung a little bit. Like, I want to be with my teammates, with my classmates in our last journey in the World Series. And this is my senior year. So we had lost. We went 2-0 in '07. And so in '08, my senior year, I was like, all right, you know what? Like, I I want to prove them wrong type mentality. And
Hmm.
I actually got all tournament team of the World Series in 2008, and that's the kind of player I am. Like I love the pressure moments. Like I wasn't very good when we were losing or when we were winning 7-0, but if it's like 2-2 in the seventh inning, like you're getting my best. And
Mm.
it's just my like hyper competitiveness and loved pressure. And I think that's what and playing on that stage in the World Series and getting to represent our team and my family in the stands, like it was just so incredible. And we had an insane run that year in 2008 with like two All-American pitchers and one was hurt. Like it's just such a cool story, and they're still my best friends to this day. So I love every single moment and can remember every moment of that World Series run.
Yeah. So when I look at like, I don't look that deeply into stats, but I was also the type of player, it's like my best games came out when we were playing Arizona, UCLA. It's like there's this commonality of like a professional athlete and that almost mindset of like, no, I'm here to prove you wrong. And some people they're kind of against that mentality of like, no, like you shouldn't prove other people wrong, you should prove yourself right. And I'm like, why
Mm.
can't it be both? Because I feel like our best sometimes comes out when people doubt us or even, sometimes we make a narrative in our head. Like I think it was in The Last Dance where Michael Jordan used to make narratives that didn't even exist that other players would say. And, that would help him find his edge. But, some athletes who dream to be on this stage and not just be on the stage, but like perform on this stage, I think there's something from that they can learn from.
I think I have lived by that motto of proving people wrong since I was young. Because and it is, and I was going to reference The Last Dance with Michael Jordan too. Like you got to have that. It's like enemies, right? Like you got to kind of create that enemy or narrative in your own head, and that fired me up. Like literally, moms used to like say I shouldn't play baseball and I shouldn't have made the all-star team. And so it's like I was always wanting to prove them wrong on the field. And that was my mentality. So I definitely carried that. And I think I have and now I use this in business too, of the ability to channel my competitiveness like in those moments where I just loved it. I wish I would have been better in the non-pressure moments. Like I wish I could have focused a little better there.
Same.
I probably would have had a much better career. But yeah, I still love it to this day. Like, give me the pressure. I always say it's like not procrastination of turning things in late or waiting to the moment. It's just like building up the adrenaline and those pressure.
Yeah. But now, like in the business world, you are putting yourself in situations where it's like your back is against the wall sometimes. Like I remember I was going to bring this up later, but the panel that you put on last year with Alliance that I got to speak on, like learning your story about how like you're in meetings with people and they don't realize like you're the go-to. You're the owner, you're the business owner. And like people are like, okay, where's the man? And you're like, bet, like you love being in that position. But do you feel like the biggest, moves within business, and again, we'll talk about what exactly you're doing here in a second, but like the moves that you're making, is it to put yourself in those, a little bit more pressure situations because you're going to rise to that? Or have you learned to, pick and choose when you're going to do that and try to, you know, do the mundane, but also, challenge yourself at the same time.
It's a great question. I've never really thought about it. I honestly probably just find myself in these situations too but I think I just have that little craziness too. And I have a lot of self-talk to myself, like, look, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
And you got to step up. And it's just like adversity or challenges we face as an athlete too. It's like, hey, somebody's got to do this. And yeah, like tough conversations are hard in the moment, but we'll all be better for them afterwards. Or somebody's got it. Like, if there's not a seat for you, go make your own seat. If there's not a room, go make your own room, go build it. That's just kind of been my philosophy too, is like, I don't care. Like, I'm on a mission, and driven by purpose, and I'm gonna go pull up my own chair in that table.
Yeah. So is that kind of how, let's start with Players Collective because, we've had a guest on before, Chelsea. She was also a co-founder of Players Collective. Is that what you saw? You saw a need and you're like, we're doing this.
Yeah, and that one was really a joint vision. And I always, and all the credit for Players Collective really needs to go to Leslie Feldman, who is the
Yeah.
lawyer and worked in an agency. But the timing was right. And we all saw what was coming. Well, not, we saw what was coming with that. It was July 1st, and I can't remember exactly the year, 22, when NIL became a thing. And
Hmm.
it's like, all right, these women are now going to have an opportunity because I always go back to female athletes. These women are going to have an opportunity and they're going to need help. And I come from the branding aspect. I always like that's my lens, that's my perspective. And I've always like I did my dissertation on athlete branding. And I was like, yes, this is actually a really cool opportunity because at least in softball and a lot of women's college sports, college is the time that you're on TV.
Yeah.
College is the time that you have this following. And so if you could learn to really leverage that and build a brand, then you'd have a huge opportunity to turn that into a business and start making money. Now, in NIL, you have to have the legal aspect, and that was Leslie. But yeah, it was a phone call, and we were all kind of brainstorming. We were talking about something completely different. But then our passions just started talking and putting ourselves out there, and it's like, I think we could do something here. And that turned into Players Collective.
Yeah, and it's so fun to see like how far it's come and there's still a huge part of your big alliance tournaments like getting brand deals like Oakley was a big one last year like and all the athletes who were there got to have these cool sunglasses. I'm like that is awesome, like cuz these brands they want to get their name out there, and you guys are putting the pieces together to like be able to do that and especially on our stage where like I did not grow up with any of this, right? Like neither of us did. But like it's so cool to be able to put those athletes on a pedestal and see what they run how they run with it. Um, so there's a lot of athletes that listen to this podcast, and I would be remiss if I didn't hear from you because you're the branding guru. How can athletes better brand themselves? Because we have Twitter, we have Instagram, like where are coaches looking? Like I feel like Twitter is like this whole new ball game now where it's like it could be being abused in some ways, but I feel like some athletes could be doing a better job on there, like actually representing themselves and not just your best swings, Like how can athletes be better about branding themselves?
Twitter is such a huge thing right now for high school athletes because it is the recruiting tool. I mean,
Yeah.
that's communicating, that's how they're putting their stuff out there. I always think it starts with number one, your core values. I think who you are, your core, and because then I would transition to authenticity. But authenticity comes from your core and who you are. And oftentimes, right, you see like the trends. Well, okay, dancing gets a lot of followers, so I'm going to dance. But if that's not who you are, then that's going to shine through the camera right there. So I would
Hmm.
always just say like what are your core values? Is it family? Is it faith? Is it your dog? Is it, competitiveness? Is it your workouts? Like finding those core values of who you are and then portraying that in an authentic way and showing. Like I think being raw and showing behind the scenes. But we do live in a world of influencers, and it's more of I just heard a good quote, but it's content creators, not content viewers. And they said it way better, but like you have to create content.
Hmm.
There's no way around it. Like you have to create content right now if you want to build a brand and you want to build a following. And that is not always authentic to some people,
Mm-mm.
but that is the one area where like you just have to put yourself out there, but try to stay true to who you are.
What's so funny about that is we just had Meg Rem on the podcast, and her and I kind of bonded over the fact that part of us hates social media. Like we hate that, it's the videos that get all the hate comments that do the best, like all these people and trolls are just like they're pushing the algorithm, like commenting like crazy, but it's like if you don't have a good head on your shoulders and if you're not doing what you think is authentic to you, then it can eat you up, and same thing with even put yourself out there as an athlete. It's like if you're just posting this specific type of video because someone else is doing it and she's getting likes, like, but it's not true to who you are, it's like coaches will read through that, no doubt, and brands will eventually.
For sure. And I just came from a marketing conference, so this is like fresh in my mind too, but also putting content out to serve others. Like I think that, and she does a great job of that, right? Like she's putting out lesson or drill videos, and she's serving an audience. I think sometimes young athletes can get caught up in just like posting, 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 but who are you serving and who is
Mm-hmm.
your audience? And I think that's a huge, huge part of this too. And that's the where being an athlete and turning on that mindset helps us because you're going to get the comments. I just came from a staff meeting talking about like some of the mean emails that we get, right? But like you have to focus on the good and the people that you're serving and, as long as you're being true there.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's where like I'm just thinking the faith piece in general. Like there are schools out there like Liberty, Dot Richardson, she's huge about her faith and like she's probably more attracted to the athlete who owns their faith, like in that piece, like if it's not portrayed because you're nervous to portray it, it's like you could be missing out on a gem perfect, fit for you, but wouldn't actually know unless you were just being true to who you are. Also, you said you were coming from that marketing conference. Off the cuff, I'm dying to know how, seeing Tony Robbins live was because that looked incredible
It
off the
is
cuff.
everything that it's chalked up to be. It's just mind blowing that 3 hours into one man speaking, and it's like, holy cow, he's been on for 3 hours, and we're
Wow.
still like, the audience is engaged. I'm taking notes, like I'm writing. It's impressive what he does and how he speaks and holds an audience too. But yeah, that was definitely inspirational.
Mm, I love it. I love it. All right, let's get into your baby. Okay. Alliance. So you're wearing the shirt. Um, I had the honor, like literally the honor of being asked to even just speak on that panel with it wasn't it was just, leaders within their teams that were at their it was a World Series. But
They're, yeah,
Nationals. I was like, World Series, Nationals, this is like all the same to
it
me.
feels like the Women's College World Series for sure.
Truly, like when you watch some of those games that those kids played in that weekend, like some of the best softball. And what's exciting is like so many of those girls are, now freshmen, competing at the college level. And it was just, it's so fun to see one because I live in Indiana and, you're going to be here for a few more years hosting these nationals, which is so exciting. But, just being in the room with athletes who just want more, for themselves and you're being able to provide that for them with Alliance. Can we just like start with like, let's go back to the dreaming of like, why Alliance? Why did you think this was necessary in the travel ball world? And how did we get here? Because it's still a baby. Like, I know you said it last time we met. It's like you're still only a few years into this, but like you are moving mountains, my friend. So take the floor.
Much, much appreciated. And side note before I get into that, but one of those players that was in the audience, by the way, at that panel was Taylor Shoemaker, who is now leading the country in home runs and first week of the freshman is National Player of the Year or National Player of the Week. It's like,
Crazy.
right? She was in that audience listening to you. But I go even going back to faith, I guess I've realized recently that God has called me to serve softball, serve the athletes. And it's so funny because I did not play travel ball growing up and I run a travel ball company. So it's kind of funny. But I took a ton from my experiences in other sports too. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the people that have influenced me around throughout my entire career, whether it was my coach in college or the professional players that I either played with or against that have just ignited this passion that I have for making it better, right? And I'm just big on bringing people together. I don't understand why there was so much fragmentation in softball, still is. We're trying to clean that up, but like, why are we all competing against each other? If growing our game, if keeping our sport in a sustainable professional league, if not only getting softball back in the Olympics, keeping it there, and winning a gold medal for the USA, like that should drive all of us forward together.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and we can be competitive. I'm the most competitive person in the room typically, but I never understood why we couldn't work together. And the 5 years I spent at USSSA were super influential for me of learning the industry. And I'm very grateful for those experiences that I had at USSSA. But I just saw something missing. And fortunately, there were people around me that I'd built friendships with that saw it too. And we just decided to start working together. And the main people were Mike Stith with the Batbusters, Scott Smith with the Bombers, and Tony Rico with the Firecrackers. And then there's been a ton of people since then, but that was really kind of the core group that it just so happened to be during COVID too, right? Where everybody had a little bit more time, but there was truly a passion to come together, to work together so that we could make the sport better. And at the end of the day, focus on the athlete. Like we say that in our core, it is putting the athlete first. And we live by that literally every single day.
Mm,
Very,
yeah.
hands
So those early stages probably felt a lot like the Dallas Charge a little bit. Just like probably chaos and like where do we start? But like take us through that timeline, of the first year of like what are you, obviously you said what your priorities are and that's the athlete, but like how are you able to go get coaches to buy into this? Because you have the PGFs, you have like all the other tiers of travel ball that, are in their own lane, and they frankly some don't want to share that lane at all. How do you get people to buy into this from the
Great.
beginning?
Great question. To talk about the early days, like we were literally on Zoom calls with a branding agency to come up with the name Alliance. And like it was not Alliance at the beginning. And I just couldn't get over the definition of Alliance. And it really is who we are. And so I think that part's important. But man, like I think I left my full-time job in June and we launched a company in August with a name in like a registration platform. What brought everybody together in the first year was the concept of our Alliance Fastpitch Championship Series, the national championship. And that is, right, that pulls at the heartstrings of the core of our group. And it was more about let's earn it. Our industry had gotten away from qualifying. And you and I know, right, like what that teaches these young girls to compete, to earn something. And it had gotten so dang political where
Hmm.
birds are being handed out in a boardroom and not earned on the field. So you had all these teams that are like, I never get to play on the big field. I have a small organization or I come from Indiana. Like we're not as big as Texas and California. So like I don't get a chance. I don't get a level chance to actually compete for a national championship and put my players in a position to be seen, which is important to all of us. So we reverse engineered this thing. We created a qualifying system. We turned this country into regional leagues that these teams competed in, and we got everybody to buy into that national championship. What has grown since then is now this full-on membership where we're serving our members, our athletes, our parents, our coaches all year round. But at the core of who we are was really that national championship that we built. That looks just like, not just like, very, very similar to the Women's College World Series, which is super cool.
It does. It's like its own conference, and you're representing your conference. Like, I think it's spectacular, and it's what our game needed. Because, like you said, there were so many politics and like who's going to be invited this to here, but it's like, no, you got to earn your spot anywhere, right? I think that's also. Do you follow golf really much at all?
I do recently.
Yeah. So what I love about the Masters, is that they have this drive, chip, and putt. Have you watched the drive, chip, and putt where they bring the kids on the week before? And they go,
Talking about, I haven't
yeah,
actually
they go compete from their region, and then it's like best drive, best chip, best putt. But it's like, one, to be able to walk the grounds of Augusta is like crazy. Like, I was blessed with the opportunity a couple years ago to even just watch the event, but these kids earn their spot to then be able to actually go play on this course, and then they get to bring their families, and it's like this huge, it's just like this huge event. It gives me goosebumps every time I watch it, but it kind of gives me the same feel of this national championship. It's like, no, we have like earned the right to be here, and like let's soak it in, with other people that are like just as passionate about the game, as me. So it's like, obviously that one, it's like, yes, there's a winner, but all in all, it's like to get to Augusta is like the goal. But I think there's teams out there that are like, we want to get to the national championship. Like that's the goal. Let's figure out how to do it. But you've definitely inspired so many teams, I think, through this, approach of how you've kind of changed the game.
I appreciate that. And it is cool to watch, like, because that's when you build a team, right? We have this goal. And maybe the goal is I want to qualify for the AFCS. All right. Well, that is our goal this year. And because we do a tier system too, like next year, maybe it's I want tier one. So now
Mm.
we do seed teams and it's based on your body of work, very similar to the RPI. However, when you get there, it's all on you, right? Like you have to go compete and you can earn your way into tier one, which is our top 32 teams. I think of I'm getting goosebumps. The Extreme Elite last year, I think they were ranked like maybe 70, but those girls fought and competed and their goal was to get tier one and they earned it. They earned every bit of it and they were like a game away from the Elite Eight too. But you think about that in our world of a team named Extreme Elite, that's not a national brand. Now, there's been some great players that have come through there. I think of in our very first year, the Warriors Academy won, and not a huge national brand. I think one team per age group. It just so happened they had these two players named Megan Grant and Olivia DiNardo at 16 under, so they were very, very good. But they got an opportunity to go out there and compete and earn that national championship. And what you said like is so important and giving every kid a national championship experience. Like, and I was fortunate. I got to play in one. So I
Hmm.
try to put everything back into
Yeah.
it, from media days to interviews to Elite Eight hat day. Like I try to give the girls every bit of experience that I got to have too.
Yeah, and I will say like people there's some parents here whose kids just started playing like last year, right? Like so there's a little bit of maybe like disconnect as to like what there is out there, but like to me, if I know there's something like where the best players in the country are going to be going and competing here, it's like why not try to set myself up to get on that, on that trajectory because I mean, I don't know if you have stats around this, but like the amount of athletes that are competing in this national championship, the majority probably want to play in college, right? So to me, it's kind of awesome to be playing against the best because that's what's going to prepare me the best for college. And I know there's a lot of organizations out there that, they're just there to get their players recruited, which I think is great. But like at the end of the day, if they're not competing for something, then why are they there? And when I was down there last year speaking and I watched some of my players play in some of your events, it was so cool to see how many college coaches were like, no, this is the main national championship I'm coming to. Like I'm coming to watch these kids ball out against each other. And we're gonna watch some of those same exact matchups, which you can see like firsthand who are we talking about here, but like we're gonna see World Series here in a little bit where it's like, yeah, this kid played on the same field as this other kid, and first time this kid won. We'll see how this kid at Oklahoma decides to, do something about it. But how cool is it that you get to see all of this kind of unfold, now from your championship to the World Series?
It's really cool. I love like I mentioned earlier, one of my best friends, Amanda Scarborough. So
Hmm.
I'm always probably annoying her of like who these players are. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I've been saying it for 3 years. I'm like, wait till you see Taylor Shoemaker, by the way, or Ella Parker or Reagan Shockey. Like they've all come through our system. You said something that I think is really important, that not everybody is going to play Power Five, right? Like not everybody even wants to play in college, and that's totally fine. But I do think it's important in our sport to have a pathway.
Mm.
And I don't think softball had a pathway. You look at other sports, and unfortunately, we're losing, like, while we're all competing against each other in softball, we're losing our players to other sports.
We are.
And I think part of that is because there is no clear pathway of, like, how do I ascend up that ladder? Like, if I want to be in the Alliance All-Star game, what is that path? And so, though we started with the national championship, we've kind of worked our way down the pyramid, and now we have opportunities to like grow into it, right? So if you don't qualify for the AFCS, you can go to our Open National. The kids get the same experience. That is super important. Like now it's a level playing field of competition. You get to compete for a national championship, but it's in our Open National. So it'd be like competing, against mid majors or Division two. And then we just last year added the regional championships. And it also takes into account that these families spend a ton of money and they spend a lot of time traveling around, and not everybody's goal is to fly across the country and go compete. So bringing these same experiences more regional based too, I think is really important. But now, like for the kid that they do want to play in college, but maybe somewhere closer to home, their family and them, they don't have the goals to fly or the means maybe to fly across. So like we brought these experiences regional through our regional championships. And so now, but there's a pathway. Like maybe I win regionals. The next year, my goal as a team is open nationals. Next year, my goal is to qualify and I start maybe in tier three. And then you work your way up. So it's kind of cool to create this progression in this pathway for the teams.
Hmm. And tell me how coaches have, I asked kind of earlier about the buy-in, but it does take a lot of the coaches buying into this process too. Um, where, how did you get the buy-in originally, especially because, again, I think ego is killing our sport in so many ways. But like, what's great about the names that you dropped of like the OG people, like in Alliance, it's like they're some of the greatest coaches. Like, they could go coach college and like get to regionals, and
Uh,
like easily. But you're able to get these coaches who like obviously they all want to beat each other, but they all have their same like different organizations and like firecrackers and like there's so many names out there that everybody knows. But like how did you get to like push away, not saying any of them had egos, but like how did you have to get away from the egos to get, this to be how you wanted it to look?
It essentially we all went into business together. And so
Yeah.
that part is super important. Like how did we get the buy-in? It was the people that we had, and we had so many people, very influential people in our sport that came together first. And it's a trickle-down effect, right? Those competitive coaches and teams, they want to play against the best. Well, we had the best.
Hmm.
And you have Marty Tyson and Mike Stith and Tony Rico and Kevin Shelton and Scott Smith and Jazz Vesley and I could go on and on. Like all these people came together around this one purpose. And so then it was a trickle down of like, all right, what's going on over there? And
Hmm.
I want to compete against the best. And the people inside our organization, they have the best athletes and the best teams. And
And
so,
yeah.
um,
And now you probably get people knocking at your door like, how do we get in on this?
to both sides, right? Because there's some that are like, I'm never doing that. And oh man, talk about
Sure.
like the haters. There's one guy, and he loves to like comment about the Alliance on Twitter. And sometimes I'm like, thank you, because you keep tagging us. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciate all the mentions that you're giving us.
Yeah. No, I think the people that are buying into this, they see the overall growth. And at the end of the day, like you said, it's all about the athlete. And like at this is what's happening. Like the athlete is getting this full-on experience that definitely is changing the game and what I love so much. But what I mainly came or had you come on for was to talk about how like females can kind of change the game, right? And like we're both females that have played this sport. I know you've partnered with a lot of men, but they get it. Like these males that are coaching, like they get it that like it's females that are going to drive, the next generation to want to be a part of this. So like what kind of advice would you give to a young female athlete, in softball that's like, I want to continue like kind of being a badass in softball and like see where I can, take my skills either in the sport or out of the sport. Like what is it like being the CEO of this company and like being able to run the shots? And did you dream of this when you were little? Like is this what you wanted? Or like you said you had a full-time job before all this came out, but what advice would you give to that athlete that's just like, I don't know what I want to do yet, but I know I want to be awesome at something.
Funny, as a young kid growing up, like I did not know what I wanted to be. I just knew I said I want to do something nobody's ever done before.
Mm,
That
look at
meant
you.
10 years old, but here I am. And my path is definitely like, kind of been all over the place. But I would tell, it kind of goes back to the core values aspect. What's important to you? And then what's your skill set? Like, what are you good at? And bring that back into softball. And I think there's so many opportunities to like leave the sport, go get experience and bring that back in. I guess I live kind of on an entrepreneurial mindset too, of like, if a community doesn't exist, I'm going to go create it. Like, I want
Mm,
to surround myself with great people that are smarter than me, that are, more experienced than me. Like, I want that community. So sometimes you just have to go create it too. Or just find those people out there that are like you. And I think it's important for young girls to like take advantage of the resources around you. So you play for a top travel ball team, pick the brain of your coach. That's a great resource for you. When you get to college, like meet the athletic director, meet your advisors, meet your professors, and like let them know what you're passionate about. I did not do this intentionally, but I realized like I've been talking about professional softball since I was in college. And then like literally I was the person in the NPF that was always talking about professional softball and what we could do. And so people always look at me as like, okay, she's really passionate about this. She talks about it all the time. But that's what fuels me. And I know that I'm working in the youth space, but it's because it's really important for me to build these young athletes up and build our sport because I I just crave that our young girls get to aspire to be professional athletes and make 6, 7 figures or more, and make a career out of this. And that it fuels me every single day. And I think what we're creating is something special that even if the girl doesn't go play professional, she's going to be professional in whatever she does too. So that just
Hmm.
fires me up, and I've been passionate about it. And I think I just talk about it all the time, and people then start to associate me with that passion.
Yeah, I mean, you're a doer. Like I will say like if and I haven't even known you that long. Like I guess we kind of go way back to 2015 essentially, but like truly like knowing you the way that I know you now, it's like when you have something on your mind, you go about it. And I'm sure you've made mistakes like along the way. Like you could probably share like one or two right now of just like that was stupid, but it made me better, right?
Yeah. It's true, right? We fail. I mean, shoot, we fail in our sport all the time. But I just like why wait around and let somebody else do it? I like complacency drives me nuts. And
Hmm.
I hate the like just talking about it. I'm just gonna go do it. I think like even perfectionism, right, can be our own worst enemy. Sometimes you just gotta get it out there. Like,
Hmm.
it has to be perfect. It's just gotta be done.
Yeah.
And that's like, I guess I just have that mindset of like, let's go, let's do it. Work needs to be done.
Yeah. And I know we're kind of running out of time here, but I know you mentioned your membership and I know you're very passionate about, helping the athletes outside. I joke and I'm just like, it's kind of like when their cleats come off, like what are they doing to help their mental game? What are they doing to help, you know, base running? Wink, wink. One day we'll chat about how I can help you with that. But um, ever since I got pregnant, it just kind of like put that little base running course on I don't want to say
Not
on
too
the
much to
back
say
burner,
about it.
but what I want it to be, it's not ready. But when it is, I'll definitely call you. But I know you just want to provide athletes with just like how to enhance your skills, the maybe if there's specific areas of your game that you're like, I need to get better at this. You are providing that, with your membership. So if you want to like take a second to kind of talk about what that looks like a little bit, I think a lot of people would be super interested in it.
Yeah, people don't understand membership, right? And youth softball people, they think register. I just got to register for a tournament. I got to
Right.
like, so I battle with that all the time of like, we've created a community because we're gone are the days that like I go to a tournament, cleats come off for after my last game. See what I did there? I go home next weekend. Let's do it all over again. I go home. They have no idea what tournament they're playing in. It's just, another tournament. I wanted to bring the community together. And so we've created a bunch of different resources. And that's the power of all of us working together is we've got all these great different minds who are special in their own way. And we're bringing a little bit of that into the Alliance. So we're getting the best of the Bombers, the best of the Firecrackers, the best of the Corona Angels. We've created our coaches box, which is a national coaching call every month to try to make
Mm.
help coaches. Like we're not serving our youth coaches, which many of them volunteer their time. So serve them, give them tools. Let's share with each other. Same thing for the athletes, recognizing the athletes, her awards, her trophy cases, and then we have our academy that's just a collection of resources, and that's more for parents. We don't help the parents near enough, which is my goal for 25. I want to do a lot more things for our parents because bless their hearts, like they're lost. It's a confusing world out there, and they just want what's best for their daughters. So hopefully we can help each family along their journey.
Yeah. And that's why you're here. There's tons of parents that listen because they just want to do right by their athlete. They're just not sure how. Like you said, like there's no roadmap. But I love that you're willing to jump into those waters because I know it can be tough. But how do people, if they've never heard of Alliance before, where do they go first? How can they learn more about you guys and maybe even the membership or how they can just be involved?
I think if you're on Instagram, I think our Alliance Fastpitch Instagram is probably the best depiction of who we are with
Mm.
just like all the stories about the athletes and leaderboards and those things. But on our website, on thealliancefastpitch.com, on our membership, it talks about who we are and why this is an annual membership. It's not just a tournament. We are
Hmm.
a year-round community here to serve our families and our coaches.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure all of that's in the show notes as well so people can find you guys easily. But I didn't tell you this is coming, but I would very much love to do a little rapid fire with you to wrap up today because you love a challenge. So I feel like this is just right up your alley
Let's
here.
do it. I'll try to be
Um,
short.
yeah, but before I do, I just need to thank you for coming on because this was so enlightening and a little bit different. The podcast is typically, how to enhance your swing, how to be an aggressive base runner. I just recapped, what college softball is looking like right now. But I think this is a breath of fresh air because youth development is obviously something I'm passionate about, you're passionate about. But at the end of the day, we're trying to create better people. And like you guys are doing that, and it's been so fun to watch. And I know you don't love credit because you're the behind the scenes girl, and you're like, I will praise anyone but me. But you do deserve that praise because you are literally changing our game in the best way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not great at talking about the swing, but I can talk about mindset and competitiveness.
I love it. Yeah, we'll just have an episode later where you come on just competitiveness, how to
There you
freaking
go.
compete. I love it. But these are some things I personally want to know about you too. Okay, so first rapid fire I have is what does Jamie do when she actually has an off day?
Oh, I just got into yard work. I like had this passion to, and it's kind of a release. So I've been working on my backyard and doing that. I love football. So like on Sundays during football season, you will find me watching football and my fantasy football team.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have like 10 teams or just like one? Your
I have
fantasy team.
two. I have the competitive money league, and then I have my family league that I lost to my 8-year-old niece won.
Of course. That one stings a little bit, but you're not going to tell her. Or maybe
Yeah,
you will. I don't know.
we told her.
I love it. That's amazing. Um, if you could tell younger Jamie anything, what would it be?
Oh
I
gosh,
know. This one's deep. So much for rapid fire.
I know. Stay curious is the first thing that came to my mind.
Hmm.
And be bold. That's like my new thing now of be bold. I was a people pleaser for a good part of my life.
Me too.
I don't have time for that, you know? Like just be bold and go for it.
Hmm. I love it. Simple yet effective. What's the first thing that an athlete should prioritize if they're trying to stand out? Like let's just say to a college coach.
The way you carry yourself, body language, I think is something I learned really young as an athlete, and that goes a long way, right? Because
Hmm.
that's how you react to things, it's how you show up for your team, it's how you show up to the game. So I would just be very mindful of my own body language and how I carry myself.
Hmm. That's huge. And this video resurfaced of Patty Gasso was like being interviewed about, what is she looking for? And she's like, if I go to a game and I'm looking for a player and she's not starting, I stay for the whole game to see everything else, and it's exactly that. Um, but yeah, no, I think that can go a long way for sure. This one I thought would be funny because I know you have insane connections through your professional career, but who is like the most famous person in your phone?
Oh, dang. I'm trying to think of somebody non-softball that I have. Gosh, I wish I could think of this faster.
Not Tony Robbins after this marketing event
Oh,
you went to.
no,
Just
that's
kidding.
right. I'm gonna think of this afterwards and be like, dang it, I should have said this person.
The first one you're thinking of in your phone. It could be softball.
I mean, I think Jessica Mendoza is really cool. I'm still a huge Natasha Watley fan. Not only do I have her
Always.
in
Yeah.
my phone, but like she's on our board and I get to meet with her all the time. And I just think she's like the coolest person ever. Um,
Hmm.
Tony Clark is somebody with the MLBPA that I got to meet recently too, that I think is pretty powerful. Um, Dang it. I'm gonna think of this afterwards. Of
It's okay. You can text me later if you change your answer. No, I mean, that's like a Mount Rushmore right there.
Brandy Chastain, which if
Wow.
49ers, when she's the one that in the sports bra that like lifts off her shirt
Yeah.
for the winning goal. So I have her number. I did an interview as part of my dissertation. That one was cool.
Whoa. That's insane. I love that. Okay, final one, and it's okay if it's not a super fast answer, but I know you want to make an impact and you are building a legacy. What is that legacy that like when Jamie's all said and done, which you may never be, let's be real. Your legacy's gonna live forever, but what type of legacy do you want to leave on this game? Because I don't think you're leaving anytime soon.
I'm not, I'm still, I'd like to say young. Um, but I got a lot of years left in this. I really want to. honestly, like one of my new goals is I want to own a professional team. I want to own a professional softball team because then that means that I have financially created a pathway for me to do that. But it also means that our sport is in a place too where, like I said, sustainable pro league where women are making significant, they're making money, real money. And I'd love to see the sport internationally grow at the youth level too. And so
Mm.
I've got some plans and some ideas for that as well from an international perspective, but it's got to start here. And I think with the work that we're doing with the Alliance and just showing that, hey, we're better together, that we can really create something special for the long term for softball.
So good. And I have no doubt knowing you that that's going to happen. And you're going to help us get a gold medal here soon because I'm sick and tired of
Go.
silvers.
I
But it's
got to
ex
rally behind that. Let's
yeah,
go.
no, but it's exactly that. And you are definitely building the pathway. So, so grateful to know you, friend. And I'm so grateful you could be on the podcast.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.